I think a lot of times, especially in real estate, it feels like too good to be true. How are these people doing this? How are they scaling? And it goes against conventional wisdom of like buy your house and, pay your mortgage as fast
Yeah.
as you can. And I just don't do that. Most everything I own has a mortgage on it. I am leveraging other people's money to scale. And that's, if you've read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that's the strategy. So you kind of have to go against conventional wisdom for a lot of this. If
Yeah.
I wouldn't have started that way, I never would have started,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And I think the other thing too that people don't realize is the principal that you've contributed or the amount that you've contributed. I believe you can draw penalty free. It's just what you've made on it that is that gets penalized. Now, don't take my advice as
I know I'm like,
I'm not a
not licensed
CPA,
to talk
but
about.
yeah. But it's interesting to look at that because I think a lot of people just overlook that as a possibility. They got several $100,000 sitting over here and they're like, well, I can't get into real estate because I don't have any money. And it's like, well, maybe it makes sense. So it's certainly something to talk to your CPA about. That's great. So what did it look like? So you bought two back to back. And then what did it look like from there? What was the progression?
Yeah, so I was still living in California when I bought the first two, but then I quickly decided there was a lot of things that happened, but I basically quickly decided that if I could bring down my cost of living, I could buy more faster. So I sold my home in Los Angeles and I actually relocated with US Bank to the South. And that's where I'm at today. But so by selling that property in LA, I was able to buy a couple more.
Nice.
And then from after that, though, everything else was cash flow driven. So it was the cash that the first few brought in that allowed me to quickly scale. And during COVID, during the period of fear where everybody was like canceling their reservations and not traveling for just that little short period of time, I bought a few more and then I bought a few more and then I bought like 5 in 2020 and then I bought like 5 in 2021. Last year I bought 4. So I just kept doing it. And it wasn't just the cash flow from the first few, but it was also restructuring. I've restructured some of those early deals and taken cash out to buy like 1 more, 2 more. And then I did tests in some markets and tests on things that were like, maybe that shouldn't be a short-term rental or not. And so I still do that today. It's like, I told one of my close friends just the other day, I'm like, I guess I signed up to play Monopoly for the rest of my life. I don't know if that was what I wanted to do, but it's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And what do the numbers look like? I know you mentioned what you purchased them for, but what do they bring in typically? And then what amount of that is net income that you actually are keeping?
Yeah. Gosh, they're all different.
Yeah.
So like my very early deals, I didn't do the credit underwriting I do today because like I said, I just didn't know what I didn't know. I just thought it was going to be like, a hobby. So my early deals, when I went back and re-underwrote those, they were at about 60% cash on cash, which is crazy. They were slam dunks. Now, fast forward to today, I bought one in December. That was actually a 1031 exchange. So I sold another one that I owned that was lower performing. And then I bought a cabin in the Smokies. And I bought that one for $775,000. I think I put down, had to add a little bit to the 1031 exchange. So it was like my old cash plus some new cash, but put 20% down. And then that one, I'm expecting cash on cash to be somewhere in the 25 to 35% range. And I'm expecting net operating income of about $45,000 a year.
Okay. So for people,
pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's great.
One deal in December.
Yeah. Yeah. So for people listening, net operating income is basically, your gross income minus all your expenses except for your mortgage. So making $45,000 net and then paying the mortgage out of that. So that is.
I actually did include that in my component though, because I wanted the true pocket money.
Oh, okay. So it's 45,000 true net. Okay.
Yeah, like
awesome.
Some people with NOI are not including principal reduction because they figure that you're making that back, at the end when it depreciates or whatever based on your pay down. But interest is included in that calculation typically.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I included it all because I'm like, I want to be conservative now.
Yeah.
It's a different story than it was 60% cash on cash, like, years ago.
Yeah. Awesome. That's that's great. When you first started this, then what was your initial goal you were shooting for to be able to pull the trigger on leaving your job? Like, did you have a number in mind that you're like, okay, once I get to 4 of these or 5 of these, and then did that change or what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I got to a point where 2 things. One, I felt like I needed my time because I started creating companies because I try to not live off of my rentals. I know that's the podcast, but I try to keep the rentals growing the portfolio. So I try to keep the income in it as a retirement strategy.
Cool.
So I created some companies, and I can talk about what those are because they're all closely related to short-term rentals. But basically what I was seeing was that I was making anywhere from 3 to 5 times amount of my salary with my rentals that I was passive in, because I created a property management company is one of the companies. So I had all this cash coming in, and then my bank paycheck, I still made very good money, but I was like laughing at it. I was like, I give them 8 hours a day for this. I was like, I'm out. But I loved what I was doing, and I didn't see banking as work. I enjoyed helping my clients grow, and everything I did was very exciting, and it got me speaking at things and got me out networking, and I really liked it. But I eventually needed the time back. That was the main driver. And then seeing what the cash flow was and knowing I had that ability. And then I just went on Cobra for medical benefits, which eventually will, 18 months, it will run out, and then I'll need to get, my own medical policy. So that's something to consider if you're considering it, but it was quite easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you're making 3 to 5 times your salary, that's sort of a no-brainer at that point.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think a lot of people hear this and say, well, yeah, of course, she's a banker. She understands finances and financing and all the details that go into that. So it's easy for her. Do you think this is achievable for just like an average person who doesn't maybe have the finance background?
I do think it is. I'm writing the book on passive investing in short-term rentals, and a lot of the components of the book are like how we coach and mentor. So in the Smoky Mountains, I have a property management company that's strictly short-term rental focused. And then I have another company where we coach, mentor, and help you buy something that will perform. So I do teach underwriting metrics, and if you have an agent that does that for you and you just say, what's the cash on cash on this? Don't do that. Like, you need to learn how to do it yourself. There's a lot of reasons for that. It's your money. And if you buy it from them, they walk away with their commission. They don't really care if what they told you is going to be, what they predicted. Actually, the forecast might not be what it's, I'm trying to say. They might not.
Yeah, they're incentivized to get you to buy that deal regardless of how it performs.
Yeah, but no, you can do it. It's real easy. I mean, I even have taught children underwriting. I have some children in my life that I'm turning into little real estate investors, but no, it's easy to do. You just, surround yourself with the right people that know how. Get an agent who's also an investor, not just a first-time home buying agent, and get a lender that gets it, that understands short-term rentals. And then the third thing is a property manager. Property management company can make or break your business, and you really don't want to be creating a business for yourself unless you want to follow in my footsteps. Because once I got to 5, I just, I had my full-time bank job, and then I had 5, and I was just like, it was too much. So, just think of the future if you are planning to scale.